Well, the Premier's meeting has just wrapped up.
What the question is,
police in British Columbia want to know. Thousands of protesters are out again today in Cairo.
Tell us more about all those reports of.
These are the news stations we turn to when we want to know what's happening in the world. We trust them and believe them. But are we really in control? Are we given the freedom to think for ourselves? Or are we following a hidden agenda of the people we submissively trust? Canadians are exposed to many different mediums of communication every day, from advertising to television, radio, and magazines, among many others. So let's do the math. According to the Radio Marketing Bureau, Canadians watch an average of 2.5 hours of TV a day, listens to radio 2.3 hours of the day, spends 0.9 hours reading newspapers and magazines, and surfs the internet an average of 1.4 hours. This means that the average Canadian is exposed to 7.1 hours of media and their messages a day. That's 2,591.5 hours a year we spend watching, listening, and reading media. So why is this important? Because 1/3 of our year is spent being influenced by these media outlets. They spin, tweak, and mold yesterday's, today's, and tomorrow's news stories to their liking and agendas. It is impossible for any media outlet, or journalist for that matter, to be unbiased. Whether it be because of the sources a journalist chooses to use, or whether the influence hangs in advertisers or politics, all news stories presented to the public will hold an unbalance of 60-40. This is the agenda-setting theory, an effects approach that shows how media influence the agenda of public issues around which political campaigns and other matters of public interest are established. There are 4 rhetorical cues that affect the agenda-setting process identified by 2 communication specialists, Combs and Gibson. These cues draw on the audience's attention to specific news items. Number 1, the amount of repetition. This constantly reminds the viewers of the issue at hand, because once it's out of sight, it is out of mind. Number 2, the way the news items are displayed. Let's say a headline news story. Obviously, that will be more important than a smaller news story, according to the viewers. Number 3, how much conflict is presented in the news item. For example, scandals are likely to get more attention than a story about a fundraiser, which lacks conflict. And number 4, the framing of a news item, in what context and when it appears. For example, during election time, news is most likely to focus on political issues. If we dig a little deeper, we see that there is much more to selecting the news than just what Combs and Gibson had laid out. The news is like any other television show or publication. They want viewers and ratings. So stories that should be deemed relevant in the news is often put on the back burner to instead present the interesting stories in order to retain those viewers. University of Ottawa communications professor Alia DeCrury presents a more detailed selection process in her book. Number 1, impact. This refers to the number of people whose lives will be influenced by these events. Number 2, proximity. The closer the story, the more newsworthy, usually. Timeliness. Fresh news is more relevant than stale news. What happened yesterday is less important than what happened today. Prominence. Stories about individuals who are familiar to the public, like politicians and entertainers, have much higher news value than those who are considered obscure. Number 5, conflict. Drama and struggles always command the attention of the audience. Number 6, currency. Stories on issues that are in the spotlight of public concern possess higher news value. Number 7, the bizarre. The strange and unusual always brings in the viewers and readers. These news values are also associated with what is known as the gatekeeping theory, the process in which what is chosen is news. Even though the presented list is a guideline, it is not the guideline that all media outlets follow. Bernard C. Cohen, a forerunner of the agenda-setting concept, was once quoted, "The press may not be successful much of the time in telling people what to think, but it is stunningly successful in telling people what to think about." In other words, are our beliefs and attitudes directly influenced by the media, or are we not given enough credit as individuals? It all depends on the person. There are two kinds of people identified in the flow of information. This is called the two-step flow of communication, which is closely related to the agenda-setting process as well. The first type of person is described as less informed. In no way are these people less educated, they just do not expose themselves to the news as often as they should. Like the second type of person, the opinion leader. The opinion leader plays a dominant role in the flow of communication. These people are very attentive to the news and know what is going on. They then pass on the information to the less informed people, but with their own interpretations and biases attached. Why is this relevant? Because the less informed people take the news at face value and fail to question the information that is given to them, making them more easily influenced in how to think. The opinion leaders just act as the middleman and sometimes enforce a stronger bias to the less informed. So when the opinion leaders are told by the media what to think about, opinion leaders tell the less informed what to think. There are many theories surrounding the impact of media on individuals. The most simple and naive of the bunch is the hypodermic needle theory. This theory suggests that people are unable to filter information. Therefore, media has a direct impact on people's behavior and attitudes. Obviously, this cannot be the case. We are not mindless zombies who submit to every command. We are free-thinking people. Right? Well, according to psychologist and founder of the theory Seduction of the Innocent, Frederick Wortham, people experience 5 psychological problems in terms of media effects: passivity, misconceptions, imitation, identification, and desensitization. Bottom line, people are in danger of being influenced by media messages if they experience these 5 problems. And media outlets and journalists with a hidden agenda take advantage of that. Not all media outlets and journalists have bad intentions. There are still the select few out there who are for the people. However, it is because of the journalists and outlets with hidden agendas that ruin it for the rest of them. The public increasingly distrusts the media, and something has to be done to change that. Humans are influential as well as easily influenced to some extent. As humans, we are not all on the same level, and some use their resources to their advantage, while others passively take things at face value. The media has the option of using this to their advantage, and they are aware of the power that they hold over the people, especially in an age so heavily dependent on new media and information. There will always be an imbalance when presenting a news story. It is up to you as an individual to take things to the next level and educate yourself on your own terms, and not on the terms of someone else's agenda.